Hello and welcome, race fans, back to another episode of After the Checkered Flag with your host, Paige Johnson, where we recap all things NASCAR Cup Series races as the playoffs heat up. This weekend, we were at the Worldwide Technology Raceway for the Enjoy Illinois 300, and once again, the playoff drama didn't disappoint. Now, let's start with our winner, Denny Hamlin, who started from the pole, and he turned that advantage into his 5th win of the season, and more importantly, punched his ticket to the round of 12. He outdueled his teammate Chase Briscoe in the final laps and took the checkered flag by over a second and a half. Now, this was Denny's first career win at this track, and it gave him his 59th victory in his Cup career. He's hoping for 60 victories, so he is so close to that. I think he can do it in this year's playoffs. That also made it Toyota's 200th win in the Cup Series, a huge milestone for the manufacturer. Afterward, Denny took on the booze, as he always does, and delivered one of the lines of the season. You can either get on the bandwagon or you can get run over by it. I always love his controversial clapbacks to his very many haters. But love him or hate him, he looks like a driver peaking at exactly the right time. He's already got his eyes on that championship that he's been chasing for so long. Now, let's move on to the rest of the playoff picture. Who's comfortable and who's clutching? So with Hamlin and Briscoe already locked in, that leaves 14 drivers fighting for 10 more spots leading into Bristol this coming weekend. And the playoff picture right now is split between drivers who can breathe a little easier and those who are walking a tightrope. So at the top, we've got Kyle Larson, who looks the most comfortable. He's sitting comfortably above the cut line, so he's essentially safe. He had a pretty solid race when, kind of comparing them to the previous few where things continued to fall apart. And he did have a really great race this weekend. He qualified second, he ran up front all day, and he finished a solid 12th after having to make some ground up when falling back late in the race. Plus, most of Team Hendrick did really well this weekend and had much more of a character finish after a disappointing week for them all last week. So right behind Kyle, we've got our 8th place finisher, Bubba Wallace. He's right behind him in the playoff standings, and he's also given himself some breathing room with back-to-back solid runs, which is the kind of cushion that lets a team focus on more execution than desperation. Moving on to Ryan Blaney, William Byron, and Tyler Reddick. They are all stacked in that next tier between 30 and 40 points clear of the cut line. They're not technically locked, but they'd need major trouble at Bristol to be in danger. So for teams like these, the strategy is simple: stay clean, avoid chaos, and let other people make mistakes. Now, Ryan Blaney did have a big scare when Kyle Larson came way too far up the track, straight up tapped him. By accident, he said, but it caused Blaney to spin out and could have been a day-ending mistake. He was able to hold on and get through the rest of the race with few points left on the table, thankfully for him. He was not happy with Kyle after the race, but he was very calm, cool, and collected, always very level-headed, and he said he races people like they race him, so Kyle better watch out in the next few races. If he's in Ryan Blaney's way, I think he's got some trouble coming for him. All right, so let's talk about our murky middle again this week. Things get really interesting once you drop into the middle of the playoff standings. Christopher Bell is 32 points up, safe for now, but he can't afford a crash or a mechanical failure at this next race. Chase Elliott sits 28 points above the cut line. And while that's a nice buffer, we've seen Bristol flip the script in a single stage before, so you never know. Joey Logano and Ross Chastain are both in that bubble but above group. Joey is 20 points clear and Chastain is 19. That's not a comfortable margin at a short track like Bristol, where one mistake on pit road or one ill-timed wreck could send them tumbling out of the round of 16. Austin Cindric is the only one truly living life on the edge, just 11 points above the cut line. His margin could evaporate in the first stage next weekend. For him, every lap at Bristol will matter, and every stage point could be the difference between moving on or going home. Now let's chat about our drivers in danger. There are 4 drivers currently below the cut line, and for them, it is a must-perform race. Austin Dillon is only 11 points back, so he's close enough to fight his way in with a strong run. He has shown flashes in the playoffs before, and Bristol's a track where underdogs have made noise. He is not out of it by any stretch. Now, SVG, who I was high on at the beginning of the playoffs, I thought that he was going to be able to finish at least 17th or above. He hasn't quite shown that yet. He sits 15 points below the cut line. For a rookie, it's not an impossible gap, but the challenge is consistency, and he hasn't put together back-to-back strong playoff races yet. So if he wants to advance, Bristol has to be his best cup race yet, aside from all of his road courses, of course. For Alex Bowman and Josh Berry, things are looking a lot tougher. The hill is much steeper for them to come back. So Bowman is 35 points down, and Josh Berry is a full 45 points back. At this point, points alone won't save them. They definitely have to win at Bristol to move on. It's a win and you're in moment for them now, which is a tall order, but Bristol is the kind of wildcard track where anything can happen. And, if there's chaos, one of them could be there to capitalize. So as the round of 16 comes to a close this coming weekend, here's the question. Will the favorites hold serve, or will Bristol deliver a playoff shocker? Denny Hamlin is riding high and already looking toward the next round, but for drivers like Cindric, Dillon, and SVG, this last race could decide their fate in the blink of an eye. And for Bowman and Berry, it's win or go home. But that is all I have for you for this week on After the Checkered Flag. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you after the Checkered Flag drops next weekend at Bristol Motor Speedway, where 4 drivers will see their championship hopes end, and the rest will move on one step closer to glory.